Under the dim neon lights of the Mirage Royale Casino, December 2nd, 1978, everything shimmered with the illusion of control. Dice rolled, glasses clinked, and money moved like electricity through the veins of Las Vegas nightlife. At 2:17 a.m., the security footage later reviewed by investigators would show two men in faded blue maintenance uniforms pushing a cart filled with what appeared to be cleaning supplies down a staff hallway near the counting room. The men kept their heads low, faces half hidden beneath caps. No one stopped them. No one suspected that within the next 9 minutes, the Mirage Royale would lose $7 million in untraceable cash, money belonging not only to the casino, but to its silent investor, Cartel boss Victor El Lobo Navarro. The story would vanish almost as quickly as the men did. The Mirage heist became a whisper in the city that never sleeps. A rumor, a ghost story told among dealers and bartenders. The casino replaced its carpets and security team within weeks. Navarro kept his silence in public, but behind closed doors, people started to disappear. A cashier, a driver, a pit boss, all rumored to have known something. None of them reappeared. The police investigation, led by Detective Frank Myers, stalled within months. No fingerprints, no camera footage worth analyzing, and no trail, just two uniforms found discarded in a drainage tunnel outside the city. 12 years later, one of those uniforms would resurface, but back then, in 1978, it was just another file stamped unsolved. The two men who had pulled off the heist, Danny Carter and Michael Russo, had planned for 6 months. They weren't professionals. Danny worked maintenance at the casino. Michael was his childhood friend, a former Marine struggling to pay medical bills for his sister. What made them dangerous wasn't skill. It was desperation mixed with patience. Danny knew the back corridors, the shifts, the exact time the armored van arrived every Saturday night. He also knew that on the first weekend of December, Navarro's men would be busy at a private poker event upstairs. Drunk, loud, careless. The plan was brutally simple. Enter through the service entrance in maintenance uniforms, use Danny's key card to reach the counting room, load cash into trash bags, and leave through the back exit disguised as janitors taking out garbage. They rehearsed it in a rented warehouse, marking floor plans with chalk. Michael timed every step with a stopwatch. The entire operation, entry to exit, had to last under 10 minutes. Archive note: Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Report, December 3rd, 1978. At approximately 2:28 a.m., casino surveillance lost visual contact with the two maintenance staff recorded earlier in Corridor 5B. No radio communication was logged from security post C at that time. The footage cut just as the door to the counting room opened. The next time the room appeared on camera, it was empty, except for a single broom lying on the floor. When the money was discovered missing at dawn, chaos rippled through the Mirage. Employees were lined up in the staff lounge. Questions, shouting, threats. Danny stood among them, pretending confusion, his uniform spotless, his face unreadable. He had stashed the stolen uniform and the cash-laden trash bags in a broken maintenance elevator shaft behind the West Wing. By 8 a.m., when the police arrived, he was already gone, driving a beat-up pickup toward the desert. Michael beside him, silence between them except for the hum of the engine. In that silence lay the weight of what they had done. They split the money in an abandoned ranch outside Henderson, burned the uniforms, and promised to never contact each other again. "We vanish," Michael said, staring at the cash spread across the floor like golden light. "If we talk, we die." For weeks, the Mirage stayed under Navarro's private siege. He interrogated his own people. He brought in his lieutenant, Raul, a quiet man with cold eyes and a ledger of debts. Rumor had it Navarro didn't care about the money. He cared about the insult. Someone had walked into his fortress and taken what was his. They didn't steal money, Navarro reportedly told his men. They stole my name. Transcript excerpt, recovered wiretap, January 1979. "You find me the one who cleaned those floors that night. You bring me his hands." Meanwhile, the police followed every thread that led nowhere. The official version, released to the press in February 1979, claimed it was an inside job, but lacked evidence. Detective Myers, a tired man with nicotine-stained fingers, told reporters, "Someone knew the layout. That's all we can say." But Myers didn't let it go. In a private memo months later, he wrote, "There's something off about the uniforms. Maintenance logs show 2 new hires, but their social security numbers trace to non-existent identities." By then, Danny Carter was living under a new name in Oregon, working a gas station off Route 97. He had grown a beard, changed his hair, learned to look over his shoulder. The money he buried in metal containers in a field outside town. He never touched more than a few $100s at a time. Michael, however, couldn't resist. He moved to Florida, opened a small auto shop, and started living a little too comfortably for a mechanic. In 1980, a fire destroyed his shop. Official cause, electrical fault. Unofficial whispers, retaliation. The body was burned beyond recognition. And though the coroner identified it as Michael Russo, some believed Navarro's men never found him. That maybe he had staged it himself. Danny read the news clipping at a diner counter, hands trembling over his coffee. For days, he didn't sleep. The desert air still lived inside him. The smell of dust, gasoline, and fear. Archive photo, 1979, Las Vegas Sun. Image shows Victor Navarro entering Mirage Royale's side entrance surrounded by 2 men in gray suits. Caption: Casino investor refuses comment on alleged mob connections. By 1981, the Mirage Royale had changed ownership. Navarro moved his operations south into Mexico. The heist became a cautionary tale among casino managers, a story told in hushed voices. 2 ghosts who walked through walls and vanished with millions. For Navarro, it was unfinished business. For Detective Myers, it was a case that gnawed at him through retirement. He kept the old file in his drawer long after the department closed it. Then, 12 years later, March 1990, Detective Laura Jensen, newly assigned to cold cases, reopened the Mirage file as part of a departmental digitization project. Most files went straight to storage, but one note caught her attention. Myers' handwritten line about non-existent identities. She called him. He was 72, living alone in a trailer near the Nevada border. When she mentioned the Mirage Royale, he laughed, dry and hollow. "You're chasing smoke, kid," he said. "But smoke leaves ashes." When Laura visited, Myers handed her a cardboard box of personal notes. Inside, beneath faded photographs and coffee stains, was something she couldn't explain. A casino maintenance badge, worn and scratched, with the name Daniel C. carved faintly on the back. It had been logged as missing evidence in 1979. Archive note, evidence log number 447, Mirage Heist. Maintenance badge, blue plastic, ID number partially filed off. Status, misplaced during archive transfer, 1982. That badge would become the first real lead in over a decade. But in 1978, no one could have known that a simple piece of plastic, light as a coin, forgotten in a drawer, would resurface to unravel everything. Back then, it was just a missing trinket in a city built on missing things. What really happened in the 12 years that followed would shock even those who had lived it. Because the Mirage Heist wasn't just about money. It was about betrayal, about the illusion of safety, and the slow, inevitable return of truth. Voiceover style reflection. Imagine it's 1978. You're holding a mop, pushing it down a corridor where cameras blink lazily and the smell of bleach masks fear. You think you're invisible, but somewhere a lens still sees you. Somewhere, time is waiting. The Mirage Heist had no blood, no screaming alarms, just the quiet hum of an air vent and the sound of footsteps fading into the desert. Yet the real story was only beginning. Because 12 years later, when the past came knocking, one of those men would finally be found, and not in the way anyone expected. If you want to know what they discovered next, subscribe and tell us where you're watching from. March 1990. The desert wind outside Clark County hummed like static as Detective Laura Jensen spread the Mirage Royale file across her desk. Yellowed papers, blurry photos, a single badge. 12 years had passed since the heist that made headlines for a week and then disappeared into legend. Laura was 32, meticulous, the kind of investigator who read footnotes twice. Her colleagues thought reopening a cold casino robbery was pointless. 7 million's long gone, one of them said. But Laura didn't believe in gone. She believed in traces. Every ghost leaves fingerprints somewhere. She began by reanalyzing the old surveillance tapes. Digital restoration brought new clarity to the grainy black and white images. At 2:17 a.m., two men in maintenance uniforms wheeled a cart past Corridor 5B. Their movements were fluid, confident, practiced. But at frame 864, Laura froze the image. On the cart side panel was a faint reflection of one man's wrist. A tattoo, barely visible. It looked like a Marine Corps emblem. Cross-referencing employee records, she found one maintenance worker listed as Daniel Carter, employed for 5 months before the heist, honorably discharged from the Marines in 1974. His file had been closed in 1979. Last known address, 214 Kingman Road, Henderson. The house was gone now, replaced by a shopping plaza. But property records led her to a P.O. box in Bend, Oregon. Someone had been renewing it under a fake name since 1982. Archive memo, March 18, 1990. Possible connection between Daniel Carter and Mirage Heist. Requesting field follow-up. Laura drove to Oregon herself. The town was quiet, lumber trucks rumbling through the main street, pine air thick and cold. The postmaster remembered the man faintly. Tall, gray hair, always polite. Picked up mail once a month. Didn't talk much. The last pickup had been 2 weeks earlier. She waited near the post office for 3 days. On the 4th morning, an old Ford pickup stopped. A man stepped out, beard, sunglasses, slow gait. He walked like someone who used to move quickly. Laura approached, badge visible. Mr. Carter? He froze, then smiled faintly. Haven't heard that name in a long time. In a small interview room later, his hands trembled slightly as he lit a cigarette. You're not here for taxes, are you? He asked. She shook her head. Mirage Royal. 1978. His eyes flickered. A long silence. Then, you found me. What followed wasn't a confession. It was a slow collapse. Carter spoke like a man who had rehearsed his guilt in private for years. He claimed Michael Russo had been the mastermind. That the plan was supposed to be clean, no one hurt, just one grab and vanish. We thought we were smarter than the city, he said. Turns out the city doesn't forget. Laura recorded every word. What happened to the money? He smiled, bitter. Most of it's gone. Some buried. Some burned. Some taken. He wouldn't say by whom. You think I was running from the cops? He asked quietly. I was running from Navarro. Victor Navarro had died in 1988, officially a car crash in Sonora. But Laura knew cartel legends didn't die so cleanly. She contacted retired detective Frank Myers for insight. He told her Navarro's operations in the late 70s used the Mirage to launder drug money through the casino floor. That $7 million, Myers said, wasn't casino cash. It was cartel transport money. The heist wasn't just theft. It was a declaration of war. Transcript excerpt, taped interview, D. Carter, April 1990. After the job, Mike said we had to split it quick. We took it to the desert, north of Sloan. He said he'd come back later for his share. I told him not to. He didn't listen. Carter's story painted a picture of paranoia and betrayal. Russo had gone back for more money days later, despite the risk. Navarro's men must have followed. The fire that supposedly killed Russo in Florida? That wasn't him, Carter said. He staged it. I saw him 2 years later in Reno, drunk and scared. Said he'd made a deal with someone to disappear. Never saw him again. Laura began to suspect that the heist was part of something larger, an inside leak, maybe even a setup. Casino records showed a temporary security consultant hired weeks before the robbery, one Raul Mendez. The name matched Navarro's lieutenant. His employment file vanished from archives after 1980. If Raul was involved, maybe the robbers had unknowingly stolen with his permission or against it. Then came a twist. A month after Carter's interview, an anonymous envelope arrived at the precinct. No return address. Inside, a single Polaroid photo dated 1979 showing a man who looked like Michael Russo sitting at a bar in Tijuana, a half-empty glass beside him. On the back, written in fading ink, "Some debts never die." Evidence tag number 553. Polaroid, unknown origin. Received May 1990. Laura traced the bar's location. It still existed, barely, a crumbling cantina near the old border crossing. The owner, an old woman named Sophia, remembered a man called Miguel the mechanic who came often, paid in U.S. cash, always sat facing the door. One night in 1982, he never came back. He was scared, Sophia said. He said someone was watching him. He left a box with me, said if anyone ever asked, to give it only to a woman cop from Nevada. She smiled faintly. "I guess that's you." The box was small, metal, rusted at the hinges. Inside were two things: a photograph of Navarro with several men at the Mirage, and a casino receipt dated December 2nd, 1978. Timestamp 2:26 a.m. Russo's handwriting on the back read, "He's inside too." Laura realized the meaning. Raul Mendez had been in the casino that night. Navarro's lieutenant wasn't just supervising security. He was part of the theft. The heist may have been a double cross inside Navarro's own ranks. Russo and Carter were pawns in a larger betrayal. When Laura confronted Carter with the photo, his reaction was immediate, a tremor, then silence. "I told him it was too perfect," he muttered. He said Navarro would never suspect his own man. Archive transcript. Carter final interview, June 1990. "If Raul planned it, that means Navarro killed the wrong people. He thought it was us, but it was his own shadow." Days later, Carter disappeared. His truck was found abandoned near Crater Lake. In the passenger seat lay a note: "I'm tired of running. Tell them I never meant for anyone to die." His body was never recovered. Official cause: presumed suicide. The case went cold again, but Laura kept digging. Through DEA archives, she found that Raul Mendez had resurfaced in 1983 under a new identity, working as a logistics contractor in Texas. He died in 1989 during a border raid, 2 months after Navarro's supposed car crash. But fingerprints suggested the opposite. Navarro had taken Raul's identity to fake his own death. Suddenly, everything connected. Navarro was alive, living as Raul. And if Russo had once made a deal, perhaps it was with him. Laura traveled to El Paso, tracing property owned under Mendez's name. In a small storage unit rented in cash, she found what she'd been searching for: a dusty suitcase filled with casino chips, old film reels, and a maintenance ID identical to Carter's. On the inside flap was a single photograph: 2 men in blue uniforms smiling at a camera. Russo and Carter. Behind them, the Mirage Royale logo. Archive reel: Mirage internal security, December 1978. Restored footage revealed something never before seen. In the seconds before the camera lost power, a third figure entered the frame: Raul Mendez. He handed Carter the security key. That single image changed the narrative. The heist wasn't a robbery. It was an extraction. Raul had used 2 unsuspecting men to steal cartel money for himself, framing them in the process. Navarro's fury had burned through half his crew before he realized the betrayal came from within. But even truth has layers. When Laura presented her findings to federal agents, they dismissed it as speculation. "Both Navarro and Mendez are dead," they said. Case closed. She refused to let it die. Late one night, she reviewed the restored tape again. On the audio track, beneath the hum of the corridor, she caught a faint voice. "Russo's. We're not the only ones here, Danny. Someone's watching." The timestamp matched the exact minute Raul appeared on camera. Laura archived the file, her notes, and a copy of the tape under one label: the Mirage file, confidential. Officially, the Mirage heist remained unsolved. Unofficially, she knew the answer. In 1991, a construction crew demolishing the old Mirage Royale site unearthed a rusted safe buried under the foundations. Inside were decayed bills wrapped in plastic, and a burned badge with the letters DC still visible. The serial numbers matched those from the missing 7 million. Final report excerpt, LVMPD, 1991. Recovered funds estimated at $1.3 million. Remaining assets unaccounted for. Identity of original perpetrators undetermined. Laura stood at the site that evening as the sun sank behind the Strip's new skyline. The city had moved on, neon replacing memory. But somewhere in that dust still lived the echo of footsteps, the sound of two men who once thought they could outrun the world. She kept Carter's badge on her desk for years, a reminder that truth is rarely clean and justice rarely perfect. Voiceover reflection. Imagine carrying a secret for 12 years. You change your name, your face, your habits, but the desert remembers. It remembers every wheel track, every whisper in the dark. Some crimes don't fade, they wait. The Mirage Heist was never about $7 million. It was about loyalty, greed, and the illusion of escape. In the end, every man paid his price, some with blood, some with silence. When the file finally closed, Laura wrote a single line at the bottom of her report. Sometimes ghosts aren't looking for revenge. They're looking to be found. The Mirage Royale was rebuilt in 1994 under a new name, new owners, new lights. Tourists never knew the floor beneath them once hid a legend. But every night, the hum of the machines carried a quiet echo of that December morning, when two men in blue walked through walls and vanished into myth. What do you think? Was justice ever truly served? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Disclaimer. 1. All characters, locations, and events in this story are fictional or altered for narrative purposes. 2. Elements inspired by historical casino events have been cross-checked with available verified sources to maintain factual plausibility. Title options. 1. The Mirage Heist. Lost Millions and Vanished Men 2. Casino Shadows. The $7 million Disappearance 3. The Mirage Files. Inside a 1978 crime that never died. Video descriptions. 1. Two men robbed a cartel's casino and vanished for 12 years, until one clue reopened the deadliest cold case in Las Vegas history. 2. What really happened the night $7 million disappeared from the Mirage Royale? The shocking story behind the heist that fooled both cops and the cartel. 3. 1978. A quiet night, a silent robbery, and a mystery that refused to stay buried. Discover the hidden truth behind the Mirage Heist. Thumbnail ideas. 1. Split image. Casino vault door plus shadowy man in uniform. Text. $7,000,000 gone. 2. Faded Polaroid of two janitors plus blood red overlay. Text. The Mirage Files. 3. Neon Vegas skyline with silhouette and cash flying. Text. The heist that never ended. Tags. Hashtag true crime, hashtag casino heist, hashtag Las Vegas mystery, hashtag cold case, hashtag crime documentary shorts / teaser scripts. 3 tones dramatic. 1978. Two janitors walked into a Las Vegas casino. 9 minutes later, $7 million were gone. For 12 years, no one knew where until one badge resurfaced. Factological. The Mirage Heist remains one of Las Vegas's most mysterious unsolved crimes. Two maintenance men vanished after stealing $7 million. New evidence in 1990 changed everything. Emotional, they weren't killers. They just wanted out. But the city, the money, the lies, they never stopped chasing them. The Mirage Heist, a story of greed, guilt, and ghosts. Suggested timestamps: midnight. Teaser / The Mirage Royale Heist 045. The night of December 2nd, 1978, 4:10. Inside the crime 8:30. Navarro's Revenge 1420. 12 years later 2015. The badge and the confession 27:50. The truth about Raul Mendez 35:40. Closure and reflection.